I can't actually point to just one thing because the story sort of downloaded into my brain as I was watching a sporting event for one of my kids. And I grabbed a notebook that I always have with me and just wrote the basic plot down, start to finish. The actual story, of course, took a lot longer to write. But I think it must be a combination of what I loved to read as a child. It has a fairy tale feel, and I loved fairy tales. And the place we always went on summer vacation. It's deeply lodged in my memory, and those fused together into the story. My advice to a writer just starting out with the writing journey or the publication journey is to find your community, to find a writing group that will help critique your writing, make it stronger, and find a mentor who's been through this path before, who can encourage you along the way and give you guidance. Fall is definitely my favorite season, so I'm excited that it is just around the corner because it's just this lineup of good times coming. And also, I've always been a real fan of school supplies. I've always loved that line, and you've got mail, bouquets of sharpened pencils. So fall is my favorite. Ellie's favorite would be spring because lots of new growth, plants for her to sketch in the forest, and fresh air. So I see stories like movies in my head, and then I try to get that down onto the page. But of course, that leaves gaps for readers who don't have the movie playing in their head. And so I love to do character sheets like this one, old school, write it out, information about the characters so that I can put that on the page too. And then I also, this is where community comes in very helpful, to have other people say, I didn't understand that, I don't understand why this happened here. And so, for example, I was reading one of the chapters of The Burning Tree to my son, and then I said, what about this maybe isn't clear, or could I sharpen? And he's like, well, I have a couple questions for you, Mom. And an hour and a half later, I had built many parts of the worldview of the Burning Tree world that just weren't part of my movie, but that needed to be there. So it's community. I can't listen to music while I write because it messes up the atmosphere of the story and the movie that is playing in my head. But I take regular writing breaks to go for walks and think through creative problems, what isn't working in my scene, or often I will think my scene is great, and on the walk I'll realize that there's a logical problem with it, there's something wrong with it. And usually for that I do play music, and it's a slightly different playlist for every book, but indie folk, usually some brand of that. So this fantastic painting was done by my talented friend, Sarah Hill. She and I are both members of Art House Dallas. Art House is an organization that started in Nashville with Charlie Peacock and Andy Ashworth. They wanted to provide a community where people could come to talk about faith and creativity. And so Sarah and I are both members of the writing group of Art House Dallas. Faith plays a huge role in just how I write my stories in general because I look at the world as meaningful, and that comes across in the way that I write my stories. But as I think about this story, particular moments where my faith plays a pivotal role in how the story develops is what Ellie thinks is the big problem in her life and in her town at the beginning of the story, and what she comes to realize is the actual problem. And then also, what is the resolution that's needed to fix that problem? Faith is central to all of those moments. When I'm not writing, I love going on low stakes, unambitious hikes or falling down a research rabbit hole, like in the archives, the kind where you have to wear gloves and sign in and sign out. Or from time to time, investigating something for a book. Like I wanted to find out what it was like to be in a tunnel, what it felt like, so I found out. is Billy the cat, who does not want to be here because he likes to sit 2 chairs down from me while I'm writing at the kitchen table, close enough to be emotional support, but far enough away that he doesn't actually have to be cuddled. I also have a hamster who I put into a ball, let her run around the house during the day. She's my child's hamster, actually, but I like to give her exercise. And once in a while, she brings me back from the story world to the real world by her ball bumping against a closet or a desk or something, and I have to rescue her. If going on a walk doesn't help to solve the problem that I have run into in my story that's causing writer's block, then I go to my community. So first line of defense is always my husband, to talk through ideas with him. If not, I have some friends, writer friends, and I text the problem, and sometimes we talk it through, or after writer's group of us often go out for tacos or pancakes or something and talk it through. So community always, if I'm completely, truly stuck. Ellie loves to sketch, so I would take her out to West Texas, where there's plants like this, something fresh for her to explore, plus mountain plateaus, vast blue skies, and clear air. My favorite genres to read as a child were mysteries like the Bobbsey Twins, Boxcar Children, classic Nancy Drew, and also stories with a magical element to them, a fairy tale element, but still really grounded, like Chronicles of Narnia, where you go through a door into a magic wardrobe, but also the dwarves are eating mushrooms and bacon and eggs. And I still love that. I still love reading detective stories and mysteries and fairy tales, and those two styles I think sort of just fused into my own stories. Coffee. Definitely. It's part of my writing routine. I pour myself a fresh cup, set a timer, and light a candle, and then start writing. Sometimes also a caramel biscotti. And for special occasions, there's this artisan Pop-Tart. It's like mango guava or something like that at a local coffee shop, and I will do that on occasion as well. No spoilers. The hardest part of writing The Burning Tree for me was getting the explanation right for what was going on in their town. Not so much that it slowed down the story, but enough so that the plot made sense. The parts of The Burning Tree that I liked writing the most, that were the most enjoyable, were the conversations Ellie had with her family and her home, and the dynamics there, and how that changed throughout the course of the book. Thank you for listening to this interview, and I hope you enjoy The Burning Tree, because if you're looking for a story with a fairy tale feeling, where nothing is quite as it seems, and fast-paced action, this is the book for you.